What you call nothing is actually the 0 point of creation. There is an invisible space between thoughts where anything is possible, where money doesn't need to be earned, it simply appears. What's that called? Quantum vacuum. And if you know how to access it, it responds to you with wealth. In the next few minutes, I will show you 5 secret steps to create money from the invisible. And the first one begins in silence. Get ready. Your reality will start to bend. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract wealth as if the universe is conspiring in their favor all the time, while others, no matter how hard they try, live in a constant cycle of scarcity, doubt, and frustration? It's not just a matter of luck, effort, or even intelligence. There is something happening beneath the surface, an invisible but incredibly real mechanism that acts between thought and manifestation. And that's where the quantum vacuum comes in. This is not a mystical concept or a pretty metaphor. The quantum vacuum is the field where all possibilities coexist in potential state. It is not energy. It exists before energy. It is the silent stage where reality is written and rewritten. What most people call nothing is actually the everything that has not yet collapsed into form. It is the interval between a desire and its materialization. And if you learn to enter this space, if you can tune your consciousness to this specific frequency, the universe bends to your command. But beware, this doesn't happen to those who live trapped in anxiety. It doesn't happen to those who are trying to force results all the time. The vacuum responds to who you are, not to what you want. It opens up to presence, not to despair. And here begins the first great key of this journey. Silence. Not the external silence, but the internal one. The quietness of the mind that stops reacting and starts observing. When you silence the distractions of the ego, you begin to hear what has never been said in words. In that space, you stop desiring money and start vibrating as if it were already there. The common mind will resist this idea. It will say, "This is impossible. Money comes from work. Nothing arises from nothing." But pay attention. Who told you that? Where did that programming come from? Someone taught you that to have, you have to fight, suffer, sweat. And that's why you have been trying, and exhausting yourself. Only the quantum vacuum operates differently. It ignores limiting beliefs. It only responds to vibrational coherence. In other words, if within you there exists a clean, aligned, and available field, it fills itself with money, with opportunities, with everything your lower mind believed was unattainable. You begin to realize that you're not here to chase after things. You are here to allow them to run to you. Because in the vacuum, time does not exist. Logic dissolves. And what matters is the intensity with which you vibrate, not the effort you make. It's as if the universe says, "If you trust, I deliver." And it delivers. But only if you are vibrating in the absence of need. That's why the vacuum is so powerful and so subtle. It does not respond to desperate desire. It responds to the calm certainty of one who already knows they are worthy. And here's a truth that nobody likes to admit. A lot of people want money, but vibrate as if they are afraid of it. Afraid of not being able to, afraid of not deserving, afraid of losing. And the vacuum does not negotiate with fear. It only reflects. Therefore, it's not just about visualization. It's about transforming your internal field into a mirror coherent with abundance. And for that, you need more than positive thinking. You need presence. You need to stop chasing after money and start becoming the kind of field where money likes to dwell. It is at this point that people begin to experience something astonishing. Money arriving without explanation. Clients appearing out of nowhere. Ideas that generate almost immediate returns. Not because they did more, but because they vibrated differently. And what's most impressive? This doesn't depend on where you live, your history, your profession, or your bank account. The void is impartial. It has no preferences. It only delivers what it finds in your field. And if you've made it this far, it's not by chance. There's something in you that has already begun to awaken, a part that feels there is more, much more than what the world has shown you so far. And that's exactly why I want to extend an invitation to you. If you want to deepen this experience and discover advanced techniques to manifest money and success from this invisible space, click the link in the first pinned comment, but do this only if you are willing to completely transform the way you relate to reality. Now, get ready, because the next revelation will change everything. We will enter the second stage of this process, the one where the invisible begins to respond visibly. What comes next may seem magical, but it's just the universe's science working in your favor. The quantum void is not a physical place. It is a state of consciousness, a meeting point between what you feel and what the universe understands. And here's the detail that changes everything. The universe doesn't understand words. It understands vibration. You can say, "I want money," but if your inner frequency says, "I'm scared," "I'm lacking," "I need," the universe responds with more reasons for you to continue feeling fear, lack, and need. It's like trying to tune into a radio station without turning the frequency dial. You can yell at the radio as much as you want. The music only starts when you hit the right tune. And in the manifestation game, this tuning is internal. It's not in the world, it's within you. And that's where the first step, silence, reveals itself as essential. Because in silence, you begin to hear what you are really transmitting. And usually it's at this moment that you realize, I thought I was vibrating in abundance, but inside, I was begging. This kind of perception changes everything, because you stop searching outside and start reorganizing within you. No longer chase after money, you prepare to receive it, and it's at this point that the second step comes into play. Emptying yes. So that the void can fill with abundance, you first need to clear it of interferences. And these interferences aren't in the environment. They are in your mind. They are the repetitive thoughts of scarcity, the inherited beliefs that money is hard. It's not for me. Only the rich get richer. They are dense layers you absorbed, and which now need to be dissolved. This process is not mental. It is vibrational. And this means you don't need to intellectually convince yourself that you are prosperous. You need to feel. You need to activate the sensation of lightness, security, confidence. Even when the external reality hasn't changed yet, it's here that many people give up because they expect to see to believe. But the void demands the opposite. Believe to see. It tests your ability to vibrate the invisible with the same conviction as someone who is already holding it in their hands. And when you do this with truth, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins to respond. Small coincidences appear. Unexpected invitations arise. A new flow begins. Intentional presence is being in the now with a mind trained not to escape. Because every time your mind escapes to the past, it activates the scarcity pattern. Every time it rushes to the future, it activates the fear of what could go wrong. But when you anchor your attention in the now and vibrate as if everything is already resolved, it's as if the universe feels obliged to fill that field with what you are vibrating. And here is where many make the most subtle mistake. They ask, they vibrate right for a few minutes, and then they start to doubt. They go back to checking if it's working. And when they do that, they break the field. The void demands consistency. It does not react to emotional peaks. It responds to coherence. The longer you sustain a frequency without doubting, the more rapidly it collapses into reality. This leads us to the fourth step, the quantum collapse. This is the moment when the invisible becomes visible. And it never arrives as you imagine. It always surprises. The mistake is trying to control the how. You don't need to know how the money will arrive. You just need to activate the field where it can arrive. And for that, you need to stop blocking the flow with fear, with doubt, with urgency. The void does not deal well with tension. It only manifests when you are relaxed, available, receptive. Think of how many times you had a brilliant idea while showering, walking, or simply being distracted. This is a clear example of how the collapse occurs when the mind lets go. It's not when you force, it's when you flow. The same happens with money. The best opportunities appear when you are vibrating light, confident, available. And in that state, the universe begins to act in such a coordinated, precise way that you start to suspect there really is a greater intelligence behind all of this. And there is. But it only activates when you allow it. And here we arrive at the fifth step: continuous alignment. Manifesting is not an event. It's a state. It's a way of living. You don't do this for a few minutes and then go back to who you were. You transform. You become someone who vibrates as if money is always coming. Someone who moves with confidence, even when they don't see. Someone who stops chasing results and starts generating magnetic fields. This daily alignment is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about noticing when you are out of alignment and coming back. Not with guilt, but with awareness. And it is at this point that the real magic happens. Because you stop being someone who is trying to manifest and become someone who lives manifesting. The difference is subtle but profound. The first lives in expectation, the second in certainty. And certainty creates. What you are listening to now is not just a video, it's a reminder. A reminder that you didn't come into the world to survive. You came to create. You came to dance with the universe in an invisible choreography, where everything begins in the void. Everything forms in silence. Everything responds to your vibration. And if all of this is making sense to you, if this message is stirring something inside you, then you are already vibrating differently. Feel this. Feel now your internal field expanding, as if something is being activated within you. Because it is. And if you want to take the next step in this journey with even deeper techniques to activate this field and transform the way you manifest, click the link in the first pinned comment. There, you will access content that perfectly complements what you are learning here. But it's not for everyone. It's for those who are ready. Now, breathe. Feel your body. Feel the now. And remember, manifestation doesn't happen when you force it. It happens when you align yourself. In the next few minutes, I will take you to the conclusion of this experience with one final truth, the most powerful of all. Get ready. Because what comes now changes everything. Do you remember what we talked about at the beginning? That the quantum void is the 0 point of creation. That what seems to be nothing is, in fact, the space where everything begins. What you may not have realized yet is that this void is not somewhere outside of you. It's right there inside you. Yes, inside of you, at all times. Between one thought and another, there is a gap, a small space that the ordinary mind ignores, but that conscious creators use as a portal. This space is pure now, without past, without future, without judgment. And it is within this gap that the universe listens to you clearly. Now stop and think. How many times in your day do you access this space? How many times do you silence the noise of the mind to simply feel what is vibrating? Very few, perhaps none. And that's why most people live repeating the same results. They are too busy trying to control the external, not realizing that it is in the invisible that real control happens. The most powerful revelation of all is that you are already creating at every moment. You always have been. The problem is that no one taught you to do it consciously. You learned to react, to survive, to wait for something outside to change in order to feel good. But the game is exactly the opposite. You change within, and the world outside begins to bend like a mirror. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly? How some are always in the right place at the right time? It's not luck. It's vibration. It's their internal field collapsing new realities without them needing to know the details. of how everything will happen. The last revelation is this: you are the quantum void itself. You are the space where nothing transforms into everything. You are the frequency that the universe is reading, all the time. And if this is true, and it is, then you no longer need to wait, struggle, beg, or chase after. You just need to remember. Remember who you are. Remember that you have the power to access this state of alignment as many times as you want. It doesn't matter what your bank account says today. It doesn't matter how many debts you have. It doesn't matter what they said was possible or impossible for you. The void doesn't obey statistics. It responds to your vibration now. Imagine what would happen if, starting today, you decided to live as if abundance were already your daily companion, not as a make-believe, but as a real, felt, present vibration. What would you change in your behavior? How would you walk? How would you speak? Whom would you connect with? This version of you already exists somewhere in the quantum field. It is already vibrating. It is already rich. It is already whole. It is already living what today seems impossible. And all you need to do is become compatible with her. Not with effort, but with presence, with silence, with intention, with alignment. Money is not far away. It is just vibrating at a frequency above your worries. And when you release fear, when you let go of doubt, when you even release the need, something magical happens. Reality begins to bend before your new vibration. You are not watching this video by chance. Not at all. Something in you asked for this awakening. And now that it has begun, it is impossible to return to the previous state, because now, you know you can collapse wealth from the invisible. You know that silence is not empty, but fertile. You know that vibration is the secret language of the universe, and most importantly, now you know that the Creator is you. If this message touched you, if something inside you was activated, share this, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Not just to support this content, but to keep this frequency alive on your journey, because every time you connect with this kind of information, you remember who you are. And if you feel ready to go even deeper, then go to the first pinned comment. Click the link. There is the next step of your journey. An experience that will transform your way of manifesting, vibrating, and living. But remember, this is only for those who understood that the power was never outside. It has always been in the void. It has always been in you. See you in the invisible field, where everything begins, and where everything is ready to be yours.